Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's 60 Seconds of Sustainability. I'm Jason Aboud, a sustainability consultant with Afara based in Calgary. So Dan, this week, Shell lost a court case to Friends of the Earth where it was deemed that they need to cut their emissions by 45% by year 2030. What does this mean for Shell and what does it mean for the energy industry overall? You have 60 seconds starting now.
That's right. Friends of the Earth, an environmental nonprofit, actually won a case against Shell this year. It's claiming that it's violating the so-called duty of care and it's failing to meet its human rights obligations by emitting so much CO2 and other greenhouse gases. Now, this has been happening for a while, that NGOs have been taking different oil companies to court. Normally, they seek damages, but in this case, the nonprofit was asking Shell, rather than seeking damages, to reduce its emissions. What is unprecedented here is that a Dutch court ruled this week that Royal Dutch Shell is partially responsible for its climate change and ordered the company to cut its emissions by 45% by 2030, a first of its kind ruling anywhere in the world. So let's rewind the clock a little bit. And how did we get here? So recall, we started about 15, 20 years ago with NGO activism against the oil and gas industry to cut its emissions. This moved regulations and companies set targets on carbon. Now banks and boards and financing are looking at energy transition plans and ESG. So these companies are setting net neutral targets, and ESG is linked to executive compensation. Now, the new piece is the courts, and this is huge and unprecedented. So it's resulting in more of a command and control kind of situation where companies have to set emissions and don't do it strategically. So Shell had a 2050 net neutral ambition, but now they're forced to cut emissions 45% by 2030, which is not something that they decide themselves. So while most companies have this 2050 goal, this may not be enough, and this may not even represent table stakes anymore. So what does this mean for the industry? There are currently 1,800 lawsuits related to climate change being fought in courtrooms around the world for heavy emitters. So expect that this may result in this being a new precedent and could be hugely influential on resource extracting companies.
Great. We'll see how that unfolds in Alberta.